Breeders' Cup 2025, the preparation begins, and today we continue on with our series. We've got the Breeders' Cup Distaff. The division has been strong this year. The reigning Horse of the Year, Thorpedo Anna, is back, and let's take a look at some of the contenders for the Breeders' Cup Distaff 2025. The Cotillion Stakes, $1 million, Grade 1 for 3-year-old fillies. It is a mile and a 16th, always a tough distance to project from a mile and a 16th to a mile and an eighth, but the Cotillion Stakes held this last weekend at Parks. It was Clicquot picking up the win. She took advantage of a little bit of a fast pace and a nice stretch move. Split horses down the lane. Brendan Walsh, the trainer. Let's take a look at Clicquot in action. Game in the stretch, holding off dry powder. The favorite, Scottish Lassie, didn't really fire until the stretch run. Of course, she came out of that big performance in the CCA Oaks. But Clicquot wins her 4th straight. She's won 4 out of 5 races, over $800,000. And this is a horse that's a little bit of a late developer. Sometimes you see this in the Distaff division. Her first race out was in 7 furlongs at Gulfstream. She ran close to the pace, faded late, ended up running 6th. But since then, a 6-length win, a 4-length win. She's won a couple of stakes races. The Indiana Oaks, a Grade 3. Then jumped up into Grade 1 company, winning the Cotillion Stakes for Clicquot. Now, Clicquot, let's go back and take a look at that Indiana Oaks. Thought this was a big performance. Now, the track was favoring front runners that day. Several horses did well on the lead. Clicquot won that race and then took a little bit of time off and came in fresh and with some strong workouts leading into that Cotillion Stakes. Clicquot, definitely one of the division leaders in the 2025 Distaff Stakes. The speed figures are in for the Cotillion, a Brisnet figure of 98, a Beyer figure of 92, and we'll see if Clicquot goes next in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Now, the top contenders right now, Thorpedo Anna continuing to hold that #1 ranking. Of course, she won the Breeders' Cup Distaff last year. She's going to attempt to win it in 2025. Again, we're going to see her most likely at Keeneland in the Spinster Stakes next, but Thorpedo Anna winning the personal ensign, a stretch-long duel with Dorth Vader. Look at this battle. Thorpedo Anna, the big favorite in the race. Dorth Vader coming out of that Monmouth race where she regressed. But those two really put on a show with Thorpedo Anna really winning the head bob right on the line. Right before the wire, it was Dorth Vader. Right after the wire, it was Dorth Vader, but Thorpedo Anna put the nose on the line to pick up the money in the personal ensign. Now, the personal ensign, the Fleur-de-Lis, and the Apple Blossom, just 3 of the races that Thorpedo Anna has won this year. She's had a solid campaign. It started at Oaklawn Park, but let's go back to Churchill Downs. Of course, she won the Oaks underneath the Twin Spires last year. Thorpedo Anna winning the Fleur-de-Lis. Smaller field that day. She was a big favorite, definitely outclassed the competition. This race was a good race to build up her confidence, get back on a win in the winner's circle. A small field took advantage of it. Down the lane, kind of just galloped away. Thorpedo Anna at Churchill Downs. Now, Dorth Vader, another contender. Let's go. You know, she finished 2nd in that personal ensign, losing the head bob to Thorpedo Anna. But let's go back to Saratoga. Of course, Belmont Day, the Ogden Phipps, Dorth Vader winning that race in the slop. A little bit of a surprise that day. She had ran kind of a good race at Churchill Downs and then stretched out a mile and a 16th. John Velasquez, Dorth Vader picking up that win. The big favorite did not fire from behind. Raging Sea, and Dorth Vader won that Grade 1, the Ogden Phipps, on the undercard of the Belmont Stakes. Now, Dorth Vader, another contender. Meanwhile, Scottish Lassie, she did not run well in the Cotillion Stakes. She was favored to do well along with Good Cheer, but neither one of them really fired. Scottish Lassie was well behind early, made a move into contention, saving ground on the turn. But let's go to the CCA Oaks. She won that one. Dominating performance and really drew off here. Now, again, not as good of competition overall as the Cotillion Stakes. Maybe that was one of the factors. Maybe she bounced a little bit, although she did have some time off after winning that CCA Oaks. Scottish Lassie 4th in the Cotillion Stakes. The Distaff division goes deep, and we've got Nitrogen. Of course, she was on the turf most of the spring and early summer. In the Alabama Stakes, she went to the dirt, took on Good Cheer. Nitrogen winning that race, showing her grade 1 class on the dirt, and now she's got multiple options, turf, dirt. Looks like they want to stay in that Distaff, and they're going to try the Spinster Stakes possibly. Could get a matchup with Thorpedo Anna at Keeneland, or maybe they train up to the Breeders' Cup Distaff, but Nitrogen winning that Alabama Stakes over Good Cheer. Now, a West Coast contender is Seismic Beauty. Let's go back to the Hearst Stakes. She controlled the pace. A couple of other horses were bet down that day, but Bob Baffert ruled it was Seismic Beauty. She controlled the pace, wire to wire, slowed down the fractions, led them into the stretch. A nice even tempo for Seismic Beauty, winning that Clement Hirsch at Del Mar. Now, the Beldame Stakes has been drawn. That's going to be Saturday at Belmont at Big A. We've got Margie's Intention for Cox, and then Majestic Oops at 2-1. Randomized for Chad Brown, the big favorite, at 1-2. Of course, she's ran well in New York in the past. Randomized has already ran in the Breeders' Cup Distaff for Chad Brown. He usually gets him to cycle into some good races in that Breeders' Cup Distaff. Let's see if Randomized can win that Beldame Stakes and add some depth to the division on Breeders' Cup Day for the Distaff. That Beldame, just a 5-horse field. Now when they run this in late September, it seems to get a smaller field and not the big contenders as some of the other horses go to Keeneland, like Thorpedo Anna and Nitrogen. Now, the Distaff division, those are some of the contenders. We've got quite a few horses training up to the race already. Thorpedo Anna, most likely the division leader, trying to win it back-to-back years. Of course, we've got Sierra Leone, who won the Classic last year. He's going to try to win it in back-to-back years for the Classic. So it should be a good race coming up here in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Make sure to like this video, share, and subscribe with your horse racing friends. Hype up this video. Let's get ready for the Breeders' Cup 2025. Of course, Future Star Friday updates. We have those every Saturday for the juveniles. And then we've got more updates across all the divisions here leading up to the Breeders' Cup. Like and leave a comment. Who do you like in the Distaff? Who do you think some of the top contenders for Thorpedo Anna are in that Distaff division? Remember the Breeders' Cup prospectus. We've got stats and information, post position analysis, trainer stats, jockey stats for the Breeders' Cup. Sign up below. You'll be notified first when that comes out. Breeders' Cup week. It's going to be free for the Breeders' Cup. The Breeders' Cup Classic update has already been posted for the week. Updates on Baeza winning the Pennsylvania Derby. Also, Sovereignty training up to the Classic, and Sierra Leone as well. Todd Pletcher could have as many as 4 horses. It's Breeders' Cup time, the Distaff update, and remember, D. Wayne Lucas always said, people have opinions, horses have the facts.